Hello and welcome to Talk About, where today I talk about my predictions for E3, that great event where all the big news and trailers for games hit us. And while growing cynicism that comes with growing up and acknowledging at the conferences are just listening to marketing people trying to sell me things may lessen the magic of it compared to my younger days, it can still be pretty fun to see what all the new big games are going to be. And so I'm going to try and predict what these will be, so I can feel smug if I'm right. Now, I'm not going to make obvious guesses like new COD info, and instead go for some predictions that will actually be impressive guesses if I'm right. So, without further ado, let's rock. Talk About E3 2015 predictions. So, to kick things off, I'm going to talk about a Microsoft exclusive, where following on from all the annoyance of a certain Project Spark reveal, Rare will be announcing a new Conker game. And it will be good to see Rare going back to a platformer instead of being relegated to Kinect and avatars. And speaking of reviving old series, we saw WayForward make a HD remaster of the NES classic Ducktales, and following on from that, I can see them reviving another of the Disney Afternoon NES classic games, Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. This would especially be great as that game had a 2-player co-op mode that could easily be updated to include online, though it's also entirely possible they will go with a simpler, more obvious option and just do Ducktales 2. I also think that following on from all the rumours floating about for a while that a Crash Bandicoot revival is due. Now Naughty Dog have said they aren't interested in doing any more cartoon games, so it could be interesting to see whether whatever developer takes it on will produce a new high or low for the series. And here's hoping it's not going to end up as Crash and the Landskyers. In my opinion, Sleeping Dogs was rather appropriately a sleeper hit, and did well enough to get a PS4 and Xbox One version. So I reckon it's about time Square Enix announced a sequel to it. And who knows, maybe as a reaction to what happened with Tomb Raider, it will even end up as a PS4 exclusive. And now I'm going to move on to all my Nintendo predictions. And while I don't think they are having a conference at E3 again, they will have the Nintendo Direct, which will serve the same purpose of giving all the game news. Firstly, let's talk about some hardware. No, I don't mean a new console, I'm talking about an accessory for the Wii U. As a quick little history lesson, the GameCube had an accessory called the Game Boy Player that let it play Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games. I can see Nintendo doing the same thing for the Wii U with a DS player to play 3DS and DS games. With the gamepad, we have a 2-screen setup to match the dual screens, and they have already done some DS games on the Virtual Console, so there shouldn't be any technical problems with doing it. Last year, Nintendo released Hyrule Warriors, which was received quite well, so I think it will follow on with a new Warriors game. They could go with the option of Smash Warriors, and incorporate a load of different Nintendo universes, but I think this is something that will come out much later, and I think that for now they will instead go with another Nintendo series, Metroid Warriors. With the different weapons and versions of Samus, as well as the different bounty hunters, they could fill out the roster, and Omega Force have already done Gundam games, so it's not like a Warriors game with guns is out of the question. And speaking of Metroid, I can see the resurfacing of the much rumoured Metroid Dread as a new 2D entry in the series for the 3DS. Though it's also possible they could go with the more primey style of game for the Wii U. Who knows, maybe if they want to spoil us, they could even do both. Okay, this one is a bit of a fan pleaser. I think we are going to see a new Pokemon Snap for the Wii U, as well as a release of the original on the Virtual Console to build up hype. They could use the gamepad in two ways. They could have a gyroscope controlled camera to take the pictures, or the arguably more sensible use where it displays an inventory of different balls, baits and items to mess with Pokemon to get different reactions for different kinds of pictures. I mean, I want a new Snap game, even if there aren't as many people demanding it compared to say F-Zero or Metroid. And this last one is probably the least likely to actually happen. We have already seen Platinum and Nintendo team up with Bayonetta 2 and Wonderful 101, so why not team up again, but with a third company as well? that third company is Capcom, for Beautiful Joe 3 for the Wii U. Capcom haven't forgotten Beautiful Joe with his appearance in the Versus games, and its influence was definitely there in Wonderful 101. So why not have Nintendo act as a mediator to get over the potential bitterness around Clover Studio and give me the game I have been waiting years for. Well, thanks for watching, and if it turns out that I'm right about all of this, and I'm psychic, then that will show Charles. Maybe I'll start my own school, with blackjack and hookers.